And so let's get to your questions. I have a lot of questions from you guys already ready to go, but let me answer some of the ones that are here. Randy is asking if Kirkus reviews or something similar really matter. And the answer, Randy, is it depends. So I'm going to give you my experience, which is all I have. I can't give you the overall answer, but I can tell you that from a point of view of bookstores, libraries, and wholesalers, I'm not talking about readers, but talking about the people who come between you and your readers, the people who actually house your book, the wholesalers, the retailers, the librarians. Third-party independent reviews matter a lot. They have to figure out a way to separate the wheat from the chaff, and it may be unfair. It may be that a great many wonderful books never get the right reviews that they need, and they get shunted to the side. But the fact is that is how most wholesalers, booksellers, and librarians start the process of dividing the yeses from the no thank yous. And then they make the yes pile smaller and smaller. They go through other, but a good, strong third-party review will make a big difference to them. You mentioned Kirkus. I want to be clear that booksellers, librarians, and wholesalers love Kirkus reviews. They love forward reviews. They do not love Kirkus Discoveries, which is the independent $450, so give or take somewhere in there. They don't love Kirkus Discoveries, the pay-to-play reviews. They know that it's not a real Kirkus review, although it is reviewed by the same editors, and Kirkus will tell you it's all the same, criteria, and all that's true. Your book was not chosen from a huge pile by their editorial department and granted the honor of a review because it was so wonderful. It was paid for. And because of that, I am afraid that your book will not get, and that review will not get anywhere near the same consideration that a real Kirkus review would if you had just sent it into the editorial team 4 months before the pub date. The same thing's true with Forward. Forward has a pay-to-play deal called Clarion. If you want a glory, it's an honest review. Both Clarion and Kirkus, I've seen paid reviews that were just devastating. But if you want a good, strong review with the word Kirkus on your book because you think that that will impress readers, well then, yes, go ahead and pay the money and get it. But my argument is most readers have no idea who Kirkus is. Kirkus only matters to bookstores and libraries, and the reviews that are paid for are completely 100% discounted by bookstores and libraries. Don't take my word for it, guys. Run right now to the bookstores and ask them. They'll tell you the same thing I'm telling you. I promise you, it's not the same thing. But you should spend a little bit of time every week, no matter how old your book is. If you still want your book to be seriously considered by readers, then I want you every week to approach people, bloggers, librarians, whomever you need to, and get them to post reviews online. See if you can get top Amazon reviewers to review your book. If you're interested in bookstores and libraries, every week I need you presenting your book to all the different bloggers, magazines, legitimate third-party review sites, and ask them to review your book. Because if it's important, and if sales are important, you are going to need reviews. All right. Ryan is asking, how many advance copies do people typically get? And I will answer that, but let me finish reading your question here. I'm not sure how many reviewers people try to get, but my book is pretty image heavy, so a PDF wouldn't have the, okay, PDF versus print copy. Let's talk about this. We have learned in our industry how to review books by PDF. But yes, you're right. For the top sites, for Publishers Weekly, or now keep in mind when you say your book is image heavy, I don't know if it's a cookbook or an entertainment book, but cookbooks and household entertainment books are the #2 category in libraries. #2. So if you want a library journal review, I would suggest printing an ARC, Advanced Reader's Copy. Also, you can do a fold and gather or a galley, depending on where you are in the process. Fold and gather is usually a limited number of pages for a 4-color book that is slotted in but not bound. Arcs and galleys usually are glued on the side and they're actually bound like books. And I would argue for you, Ryan, depending on what kind of book it is, it's a photography book. Got it. All right. Ryan, in the chat box, just tell me what kind of photography. Are we talking puppies or are we talking nudes? I need to know. Sorry. You know, is it a naughty photography book or is it the kind that I could show my mother? Abstract line art photography. Still don't know if I can show that to my mother, but I'm going to assume that it's fine. And I hope you guys don't mind. On Friday afternoons, I get a little silly. So I would suggest that you need about 8 advanced review copies. You need 2 for Publishers Weekly, 2 for Library Journal. You're definitely going to want to pitch it to Forward and Kirkus. That's so that's up to 7. And then, you know, 1 extra. Now, that's just for the top reviewers, and you need to get those ARCs in 4 months before your pub date. The rule of thumb is 3 months before the first of the month of whatever your pub date month is. So to be safe, 4 months is the rule of thumb. I would suggest 8, and the rest can be PDFs. But if you're going to want to go after high-end photography magazines, if you're going to want to go after high-end art magazines, I don't have an answer for that as to whether or not you need an ARC. I don't, because I haven't looked at their criteria. A lot of magazines will only review a book once they have a finished copy. So I don't believe you need many ARCs, 8 at the most, But you are going to need to budget some free copies of your books to send to magazines after. Hey, Dr. Browning, how are you? I've got your question right here. I promise I'm getting to it. Why don't I jump that in right now? Because I've got Dr. Browning's questions right here. You know, I promised you guys last week I wouldn't use last names, and Doctor, I just went right ahead and did so. Sorry. So I'm just going to, from now on, I'm just going to call you Schnookums. Okay, so Schnookums asks, in addition to writing the book, he's done a lot of research into launching the book on Amazon Kindle, create space for the paperback version. And although he is sure he can handle it himself, it takes a lot of time and mental energy away from his practice and other writing work. He's found a company who will handle the book launch work for him. Will actually publish the book, get it all done. It'll be an Amazon bestseller. He goes on to tell me a little bit about how much they're going to charge, and he's wondering about budgets. Well, let me tell you honestly, and I will answer this, you know, specifically to you. Paying someone to properly publish your book, to get the copyright page right, the designs right, the cover right, to get it properly edited, copy edited, laid out, then proofread. There's steps, guys. You got to edit the manuscript, then you have to copy edit the manuscript. Editing is making the book good. Copy editing is getting the grammar and spelling right. Then you have to lay it out. Then a proofreader has to go in and fix all the mistakes, because when you lay out a book, mistakes are introduced. It's just a natural part of the process. The cover has to be right. The copyright page has to be properly handled. The distribution needs to be handled. That is a lot of work. And if you're not interested in literally learning how to launch a whole new business in an industry, Schnookums, if you don't want to launch a new business and to make this your life's work for a few years, and if launching a publishing enterprise is not your goal, you should absolutely get someone else to do it for you. I would suggest that you start by trying to get an agent and see if you can get a publisher to publish you. And if you cannot, I mean, you really need to give that some thought. If you truly want to self-publish, my second favorite plan, after getting published by a publisher who will pay you for the publishing rights to your book, my second favorite plan is you hire someone who will do it for you, but you will own the publishing name. You will own the ISBN. My third favorite is to pay someone to publish it for you under their auspices. People call it hybrid publishing, co-publishing. It's a vanity publish. And there's nothing wrong with vanity publishing, guys. I know we all call it self-publishing and co-publishing now and hybrid publishing, but it's vanity publishing. It has been for hundreds of years. Mark Twain got vanity published. The first few books that Mark Twain ever published, he paid someone to print and publish for him. I have no problem with vanity presses, none whatsoever, as long as they're high quality. And if you have a nonfiction, black and white, without photos book that you're going to want to have published properly, at the most, it should cost you $3,000. At the most. That's with editing and copy editing and layout and proofread. If you're going to pay someone to do it for you, they should be paid for their time and expertise. So you're probably looking at $5,000. I wouldn't pay a lot more than that in my experience. And anyone who wants to charge you for extensive publishing or social media work, I would suggest that before you write that check, you check them out with some of their other authors and find out what kind of sales and what kind of sort of lift they have. Doctor, I will answer this email offline privately with you later. But you had asked some questions about, libraries and the like, and I absolutely will get to that. All right, so the next question here, Richard is asking, his book on audiobook came out 2.5 years ago and already needs an update. He has a few hundred paperbacks left, but should he go print on demand with a revised, updated version? Yes, let me tell you what I would do, Richard. And by the way, good to see you. I'm looking forward to seeing you in Denver soon. If you were my kid brother, what I would do is I would take those few hundred paperbacks, and while you were updating the new edition and putting a new pub date and a new ISBN on the second revised edition, keep selling the first edition. You can sell them side by side for just a few weeks while you get the second one up and running. But then you'll have a few hundred paperbacks to use for promotional purposes. You put a nice big gold or silver, something shiny. We're human, guys. We get distracted by bright, shiny objects. If there's a book on my desk with a beautiful sticker on it that says promotional copy, compliments of Richard, no last name, I probably will pick it up. You can use it to send, you can use the old copies for a number of review copies. There's lots you can do with it. You can donate them depending on the topic of the book. You can donate them to VAs, Veterans Administrations. We've got a program here where we're always donating books to different veterans hospitals, depending on the book. And congratulations on your audiobook. I know, that's your thing, and doing an updated version of your audiobook with a new pub date, a 2018 or a 2019 pub date on your paperback and your audiobook will allow you to get your book into overdrive and get into libraries on a much easier basis, because libraries love new books and new pub dates. So that's my advice. Karen is asking, she's watching some library profit modules, and that's wonderful. Karen, you know that if you're a library, real fast library person, you can contact me anytime you want. I'll answer your question one-on-one, but it's good to see you. You're wondering about the thousands of libraries across the nation. Yeah, there's like 10,000 of them. It's ridiculous. But is it necessary to contact each library individually? It depends. Yes. In a lot of cities, each library branch makes its own decision. But in several cities, they don't. So it depends. The databases that we have up there actually break them down. But I will tell you guys that for those of you who are, Googling or looking up your own library system, New York, Chicago, Houston, LA, big cities for the most part have a committee or one main branch that makes all the decisions, and then they farm out from there. When I pitch books to Boston, I pitch to one location. However, here in Rochester, New York, and in other places where, smaller cities, every branch has a budget and the discretion to buy their own books. And if the main branch in downtown Rochester says no, maybe the Winton Road branch would still say yes. So, Karen, the answer is, I know it's overwhelming, but think of it a little. I love that thing. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. If you spend 5 or 10 minutes a day sending out a couple of emails to libraries, the same email, just cut and paste and send it out, eventually you're going to see a huge amount of libraries starting to grow. I have an author, a client, a woman I love. Her name is Jane Leader. She wrote this a book called Dead Serious. It's a very serious topic. It's about the phenomenon of and combating teen suicide. Serious book, serious topic, really well done. March, she and I started working together to try and get her into the library market. And she got into maybe 9, 12 to start. She has been applying this 10 minutes a day philosophy and plan since March, and she is in now in 80 libraries. And, 10 minutes a day, 3 times a week, what is that, 30 minutes? So we're talking about 2 hours a week over the course of 12 weeks, maybe 16 weeks. That is worth it. She is starting to grow. Her library sales are starting to take off virally. She is showing up in libraries now that she's not even contacting, and it's all because of her hard work. She put the time in, she started making the pitches, and I would beg you to consider doing the same thing. Terry is asking if I would restate the 8 copies for the ARCs. I would be happy to, but Terry, this is only for the gentleman with the art book. This would be different depending on the type of books. But Publishers Weekly will need 2 copies. Library Journal will need 2 copies. Kirkus will need 1 copy. Forward will need 2 copies. So, and then there's an extra copy just in case. And that's how I did that. Schnookums is back with 3 questions. When we sell to libraries, do we offer them the same pricing as the general public? Libraries are used to getting a 20% discount off of the retail price of the book. They receive anywhere from a 20 to 30% discount from their wholesalers, which is why in the United States, according to the American Library Association most recent material survey, the one that came out last March, over 30% of librarians now buy from Amazon.com. And the reason why they buy from Amazon.com is because in many cases for the bestsellers and for a number of books, they can get the same 20 or 30% that they get from the wholesaler, and they don't have to pay for shipping because they get free shipping. How glorious is that? But the rule of thumb, 20 to 30%. Do libraries purchase 1 or more copies typically? They'll start with 1. They don't know you. They don't know how big the demand will be. They'll probably start with a paperback. I would always suggest that they buy the paperback and the ebook together. Make sure that your book's available on overdrive.com. You can easily get your ebook into Overdrive by going through draft2digital.com. Here, if you guys are interested, I will put in the chat box right now the URL of draft2digital.com. It's a great way to get into Overdrive. Karen's asking how you contact committees in the large cities. Karen, let's say you were interested in LA, Sacramento, and all the California ones. You just go on their website, and I promise all of the libraries do have information on where to send and where to pitch new books for publishers and for authors. Wendy's wondering if international authors can approach U.S. libraries. They should. Libraries, especially in the major cities, if you're in New York or LA, Chicago, they absolutely adore international authors. It gives them a cachet. They also really like offering books that their patrons can't get anywhere else. And so if you're not available through our big chains here, Books A Million and Barnes & Noble, but you're available at a bunch of libraries, libraries will adore that because more avid readers will be coming to them for your book. The one thing that you're going to need, and for those of you who don't know Wendy H. Jones, for those of you who do not know Wendy H. Jones, she is a phenomenally talented and very well-known and well-respected thriller and suspense mystery author from Scotland. And so, Wendy, in your genre, you don't even need to do as much marketing over here as somebody who perhaps was publishing a cookbook. If you were a Scottish cookbook author, the librarians, even though cookbooks are huge in libraries, they'd be, kind of underwhelmed because there's a million cookbooks, and so why should they use yours? But you, with your cachet, coming from Scotland, cozy mysteries, thrillers, suspense, whatever genre you decide you're going to write in next, you would be a great fit for the libraries, and we will talk about it. Rebecca's asking about a template we can use for libraries. I don't know what you mean, Rebecca. I'm sorry. Template, like an email? And yes, Yes, I do have an email template you can use for libraries, and I offer that. There's a free 1-hour webinar on how to sell to libraries that I offer, and it doesn't cost a thing, and it includes the email that I would suggest you send out. Let me put the URL in the chat box for you guys. It's Real Fast Library. Oh, I can't believe I'm typing in public. I never do math or type in public. All right, realfastlibrarymarketing.com/Amy. Daniel Hall put a webinar that I did with him up at realfastlibrarymarketing.com/Amy. Watch that. It'll walk you through the library process. You can fast forward to somewhere in the 35-minute section. You'll get to the email that I suggest you send to libraries. If that's not what you meant, let me know. All right, I've got more questions here. You guys are being so great with these questions. Let me, however, answer a few questions that were emailed in earlier, because Megan and some of the other people were very patient last week, and I didn't get to their questions, and I want to make sure I get to them now. Megan, who I'm hoping is taking part in this Free Advice Friday, she said she was, but even if she's watching it on a replay, is writing and illustrating a children's book, and she wants to know if I have any specific advice geared towards the children's book market. And I do. I thought about this. Here's a couple of things that I would like to recommend to anyone who says they want to do a children's book. And this is advice that I've given friends, relatives, everyone I know thinks they can write a kid's book, which they probably can. Just because I avoid children doesn't mean the rest of you need to. I'm sure that these books are amazing. But here's some things I'd like you to keep in mind. There are rules to cadence, word count, and the number of words on a page that come with children's books depending on the age group you're writing for. If you have if you have put 65 words on a page of a children's picture book that a teacher, a librarian, or a mother is going to be reading to her child, those people are never going to choose your book. They're never going to choose it. They're not going to recommend it. They may not even buy it. They probably won't buy it. No mother wants to hold up a big, exhausting book, usually hardcover, because children's books in a lot of cases are hardcover still, one of the few genres that's the case. They do not want to, librarians and teachers do not want to hold a book up and read 65 words on a page. That's not how that works. So keep in mind that there are rules and learn those rules. I want you to go to the websites of the Children's Author Society. I want you to go to the libraries and the bookstores in your area. Ask the people who work there, what are the most popular books there? And I want you to open those books up and see what those people did. If you are writing a children's book for the first time or the second time and your first one didn't sell well, there is a chance you don't know the rules. These rules exist for a reason, because there's been research done. Parents, teachers, librarians, they know the rules even if they don't know they know them. And if you've broken one of those rules, they're not going to pick your book. The other thing I'll tell you is that if you're going to design and lay out your own children's book yourself, you're making a huge mistake. I don't care who you are. Okay, that's not true. If you worked for 5 years at Candlewick Press in Massachusetts as a children's book designer, you are allowed to lay out your own book. Unless that's the case, unless you interned at HarperCollins for 4 years at the knee of a master children's book layout designer, you don't know what fonts to choose, you don't know the size, you don't know. Please, I am begging you, do not lay out your own book. Hire a professional layout person. Somebody who's not going to choose Comic Sans or Papyrus or Georgia or any one of the other millions of fonts that do not belong in a children's book. By the way, Comic Sans and Papyrus doesn't belong in any book. That having been said, that's my other bit of advice for children's book authors. Pay attention to what the best-selling publishers like Candlewick, pay attention to what Workman, pay attention to HarperCollins. What are they doing? And as much as I would love to tell you, look at Pat the Bunny and Goodnight Moon, those books are 30 or 40 years old. Look at what the top publishers are putting out now to find out what today's rules are. You're going to want writing on the spine of your book, paperback or hardcover. Don't let the customer service person at Ingram Spark tell you that you can't put writing on your spine if it's less than 48 pages. That used to be the rule. It's not anymore. If your book is 24 pages or more, you can definitely fit the title of your book on the spine of your paperback. Just ignore Ingram Spark telling you they can't do it. They do it all the time. It used to be they couldn't, but now they can. Consider hardcover as well as paperback. And if you're a children's book author, print on demand is probably not going to be your best bet, because 4-color print on demand is still a little too expensive for you to be appropriately priced for the bookstore and library market. And bookstores and libraries are still where a lot of children's books are sold. And so if you want to be competitive, your paperback needs to be $6.95 and your hardcover needs to be $16.95, maybe $17.95. That's picture books. So that is my advice to you, Megan. I hope it was helpful. And if not, you can always write back in and I'll answer your questions next time. Judy asks a question, then I'll get back to your questions, guys. Judy is asking a question about social media. She has been blogging for quite some time, for 3 years now. She, is working on a book. She wrote a book 3 years ago, but has been doing a lot of social media work for a couple of years now. And she only has a couple hundred likes on Facebook and a couple hundred followers on her blog, even though she's been avidly blogging for years. That is absolutely a very common experience. If you are writing a blog and if you are putting your pearls, and they are, I've checked out Judy's writing. She is quite good, but her writing is happening in her own house, as it were. Her blog, her website is her house. She's sitting in her own living room and she's reading her writing to the few people who she's managed to invite in. What I would strongly recommend is what Judy's already started doing. She has recently started reaching out to magazines and to other newsletters and places and offering them her writing. That is what you guys should do. All of you who blog, all of you who feel that you have something you want to say, all of you are experts in something. You should, yes, once a week, be writing on your own website. Put some content up on your website that can be of service, of help, that can either entertain or educate. I love that. But at least once a week, your content should be out in the world as well. It's lovely that you invite people to your home online and give them your content, but what I want you to do is go out into Main Street. I want you to go out where the traffic is very busy and where there's tons of people walking around. I want you to go to Main Street USA online. I want you to find blogs that are very well trafficked and incredibly popular and offer them your content. And if you are a well-known author, offer to sell it to them. If you're not well-known, if you don't have a huge track record, then give it to them. I will tell you that I am somewhat well regarded in our industry. Not everyone loves me. I'm not everyone's cup of tea, I promise. But I'm somewhat well regarded in my industry. I still give away 2 to 3 articles a week to sites besides mine because I want people to find me, and they're not going to find me if I'm only sharing in my own living room. So I go to The Book Designer, I go to Bookworks, I go to Ingram Spark, and I offer content there. I offer it for free, and it makes me so many sales. It's totally worth it. So Judy, I hope that answers your question. You're on the right track. You're doing well. All right, Rebecca is saying she would like to have her book translated into Spanish. I do not have any resources. I'm sorry. And yes, Spanish is different than Mexican Spanish, Espanol. So if you're going to be pitching your book in the Southwest, you would find a Mexican translator. LinguaLinks is a great company. You might want to try them, but you can just as easily find someone online on Freetsy or 99 or Fiverr. And but I'm afraid I'm not an expert in how to translate books. I can't really help. Thank you. Julia is saying that Oh, you know why my URL didn't show up in the chat box? That's because I was only sharing with panelists. That's lovely. Let me put these two websites back. I'm sorry, guys. Wow. Thank you very much, Julia, for that heads up, because that was kind of dumb of me. Keep in mind, it's Friday afternoon. Real Fast Library. Now I got to type in public again in front of everyone. .com/Amy. There you go. That should help. Ooh, I didn't mean to do that. Well, there's two websites. Sorry, guys, cut and paste. Whew. Eileen is asking how to get a list of libraries in the U.S. with the name of the book buyer and a committee for each. Eileen, the American Library Association offers a digital version database of libraries with the contact names. It's for rent. You can only use it one time only, and if you get all 9,300 names, it's going to cost you about $2,000. I am so sorry. Now, I have a database that I use for my list, but it's emails, and it doesn't have, I teach a class at realfastlibrarymarketing.com. I teach a class that we sell. Daniel Hall and I put it together, and I can talk about that offline. I don't need to bore everyone with that, but that class includes some databases, including the names, addresses, and phone numbers of all the libraries, and another database of about 8,000 emails. But there is no database that exists that has the name of the contact person at the libraries for this reason. I used to try and keep that up for years. But with 8,000 or 9,000 libraries and because with new laws, they have to opt in to the list. You can't just sell someone, people try, but you shouldn't ever just buy an email list because those people never agreed to be on this list. But these librarians that I have, they're on the list, but their names change. Every 6 months the list is defunct, which is why we update it every 3 to 6 months. I am afraid that the list of who to contact changes. The address, the emails, the phone numbers, they pretty much stay the same. Check out the American Library Association, ALA.org. They do have a great marketing list, I would suggest. Ryan is asking if you guys need reviewers to commit to doing a review before you send them a copy of the book. No. Yes, in academic journals and in certain blog communities, that's the truth. But if you're looking for Publishers Weekly, Library Journal, Kirkus, Forward, they won't answer your email. They won't answer your email even after you send them a book and ask them if they got it. They actually put on their website, for the love of God, don't contact us. We're not going to respond. No, with the professional third-party book industry reviews, you don't ask ahead of time. You send the kits. New York Times, LA Times, Chicago Sun-Times, Houston Chronicle. You send them a book and you hope for the best. If you are reaching out to bloggers, mommy bloggers, reviewers, of course you can ask them ahead of time. And what I do is I don't even offer physical books at that point. I put the PDFs and the ebook versions of my book up on bookfunnel.com. Love BookFunnel. Very affordable way to make your ebook available to reviewers. And that's how I do it. All right. Julia's saying that there's a course for $997. No, Julia, ignore that. The video that's on top of the page. There should be a video up on top of that. That's free. Just click on it and watch it. It's the YouTube video is what I'm talking about. Just click on the video and watch it. It's like an hour long. And ignore the sales pitch, guys. The class is not $997 for any one of my followers. It's half that. That's Daniel's page. I don't have any control over it. It is $997 if you're a total stranger. None of you guys who are listening have to pay that. If you want to take the class, contact me offline, amy@newshelves.com. I'd be happy to tell you more about it. But I wasn't trying to advertise the class. I'm just saying that the template, the only version I have for free right now is that video on Daniel's page. So let's get to a couple more questions. Susan, it's good to see you, Susan. I know you're on. I see you there. Susan said that I'm focusing a lot on pre-publication reviews, like Kirkus and Forward, and she's right. But she's wondering about how to ask for reviews of books that are already out there. Her book has been out since November. It's been out for 7 or 8 months now. She has an ARC, but she actually also has finished copies. How do you go about getting reviews for books that are already in the marketplace? And so I'll give you an overview of this. Now, Sandy Beckwith and I are actually working on a class to teach people how to do this, but here's the 30,000-foot view. Put your ebook up on bookfunnel.com. Nothing's cheaper. It's $20. I think it's $20 a year. It's so cheap. But put your PDF, your Mobi, your EPUB up on bookfunnel.com. Go find the bloggers, the newspapers, the freelancers, not the newspapers, my apologies, the bloggers and the freelancers who review books, and start reaching out to them and offering to them free e-copies, ebook copies for their review, but also offer them content. Ask if perhaps they'd be interested. I mean, if you're on the blog anyway, maybe they'd like an article that you'll be happy to write for them. You know, because bloggers are always looking for content. I know that there's a lot of weeks I don't have much to say, and when someone says, can I write a guest post for you? Yes. Thank you, Jesus. Yeah, absolutely. So offer them some content, but also offer your book for review. And you should be reaching out to 3 bloggers a week minimum. There are thousands of bloggers out there that review your kind of book. I feel very confident, Susan, even though I don't quite remember exactly what kind of book you have, although now I think about that, of course I do. But any of you within the sound of my voice, I promise you, there are thousands of popular, well-trafficked bloggers that are reviewing books like yours right now. Google them. Go find them. Go to Google right now, hang up on this call, and go to Google and type in top fiction bloggers or top romance bloggers. So what I'm suggesting is that you should be pitching 3 bloggers a week, and maybe 2 a month will say yes. I bet you it'll be more than that. I bet you it will. But let's say only 2 a month say yes. That's 2 more reviews and 2 more articles than you would have gotten. And it's higher than that. You should also be, 3 times a week going out to Amazon, looking at the books that are most like yours, the books where you share readers. If you've written a children's book called Goodnight Sun, you should go to Goodnight Moon and find out who's recently written reviews of Goodnight Moon. You should click on their review profile, see if their website is on Amazon, click through to it, and contact them and ask if they'd like to review your book. You should be doing that a couple times a week as well. How long are you supposed to do this? For the life of your book. Now, this is great advice that I'm giving, guys. This is gold. You should take this to the bank. But let me tell you something honestly. I'm a published author. Simon & Schuster has one of my books. Adams Media has one of my books. I self-published the book about self-publishing called The Right Way. If you go look at my latest book, The Right Way, I think I have 20 Amazon reviews, and I've never had a blog review. I'll just admit it. It's easy for me to give this advice. It's hard to actually do it. I get it. You get busy, you get overwhelmed, you've got other things you need to do. I am guilty of the same thing you are, of not asking for reviews properly. But you know what's happening? My book is languishing. My book is really good, but nobody's going to ever know that because I never ask for reviews. I don't ask bloggers. I'm too busy doing other things. And so I'm going to make the commitment to you guys that I'm going to start doing what I should have done all along, and that's asking for reviews. Susan, you're asking questions about my services. I absolutely love that. I do remember your book. I was just, kidding. But I will answer this offline if you don't mind, because nobody else needs or cares about my services other than the fact that, I'm fun to hang with. All right. Let's see. Anonymous is asking, do you ask bloggers to post their reviews on Amazon and Goodreads? Yes. Yes. Or not. Don't even be specific. You can say to the bloggers, how much you'd appreciate it if they would co-post or post a review online. on Amazon, on Goodreads, Barnes & Noble. I mean, there's lots of places where you can write reviews, guys. Goodreads is great, but Amazon is better. Amazon is better. All right, so Joy. Oh, hey, Joy, how are you? Let's see what questions Joy has. When Joy posts with ebooks, it goes out automatically on Kindle. Well, that doesn't have to be the case. Guys, with KDP, you can choose a later date. You can put your book up for pre-order on kdp.com. I hope you know that. I had told her to hold off and get Kindle as an exclusive. So Joy's question is about KDP and KDP Select. I'd like to take a few minutes and explain, and for those of you who already know the difference between Kindle Direct Publishing and KDP Select, just go watch Game of Thrones for a few minutes, come right back. This won't take long. Kindle Direct Publishing, KDP.com, is an online print on-demand, both print and ebook service. Mainly it started out as ebooks, but it's morphing now to ebooks and print books, but mainly still ebooks, that allows you to put your books up and get your ebook and your print book, but we're talking about ebooks now. Get your ebook up onto Amazon.com. Kindle only, KDP only focuses on Amazon. And if you want, you can set the pub date for further down the line and get pre-orders. And then when the pub date is true, let's say July 27th, the book goes live, then all the orders hit. That's what KDP allows. It is a print on demand and an ebook distribution line that works almost exclusively with Amazon.com, which is over 70% of the ebook market. Great. KDP Select. KDP Select is a program within Kindle Direct Publishing. I got to tell you, between Ingram Wholesaler and Ingram Spark and KDP Select, I'm going to slap people in our industry for not naming things less confusingly. But KDP has a program called KDP Select, which is a program underneath KDP that allows people who have put their ebook up through Kindle Direct Publishing, and it's a marketing program that allows them to offer their book exclusively for 90 days through Amazon. They promise that Amazon will be the only company that has access to your book at that point. And for those of you who are saying, well, what about Overdrive and libraries which use Kindle books? It is now true you can't do it. If you're going to do KDP Select, that is the only venue where your book can be available for 90 days. If you choose, especially if you're a novelist, this is not a bad option. If you choose to do KDP Select, do it for 90 days, maybe 180, because you sign up for 90 days at a time. You will get a lot of attention from Amazon. Their computer bots will bump your book up higher on the searchability list. Your romance novel will suddenly, surprisingly show up above the romance novels that aren't members of KDP Select. You will have an opportunity to offer your book for 99 cents but not have to take the huge royalty cut that non-KDP Select people have to. You can offer your book for free guys, when you offer your book for free, 1 day at a time. Offer your book for free for 1 day and then make it money again. I mean, don't do all 5 days in a group. It's just blowing your wad all at once, and it does nothing. So KDP Select has a lot of benefits, especially if you're a fiction author, including Kindle Unlimited. So I would recommend, I don't know you all, but if you are novelists, KDP Select is a really good idea. For most of you who are nonfiction authors, my advice is actually the opposite. Do not go with KDP Select. You will be losing a great deal of iBook business for those 90 days. You have no idea the kind of business that might come through ProQuest and Kobo. And so I would suggest that you make your ebook available everywhere. And that is my advice about KDP and KDP Select. And Joy, I hope that was what you needed and that's what your question was. You guys know that if I'm not answering your questions, you're allowed to yell at me online here, right? And I will. I'm looking at the comments. Oh, people are being very sweet. That's nice. You must know that my mother's going to read those later. All right. Stephanie's asking, can someone write a review on Amazon if they haven't bought the book through them? All right, yes. It is July 6th, 2018, and it is 12:48 Eastern. If you are listening to this on a replay, this answer may have changed. Please do not yell at me 6 months from now when you're listening to this in the middle of the dead of winter, the day after Christmas, and I'm answering this question. As of July 6, 2018, at 12:48 in the afternoon, the only thing that a reviewer needs to do to review a book is to be an Amazon customer. They need to have purchased at least $50 worth of anything from Amazon in the past, or they need to do it right now. But if they've bought, and once they've bought $50 worth of products from Amazon, they're allowed to review. Amazon last, God, was it March? Doesn't matter. At some point, late winter, early spring, Amazon tightened its review criteria again. Over the last year, about a year ago, or a little over a year ago, Amazon changed the rules that you weren't allowed to review earbuds, or you weren't allowed to review bicycles or diapers or anything unless you bought it, unless you were an Amazon Vine reviewer. Amazon Vine reviewers, it's an invite-only club that none of you are in. Actually, that's not true. Wendy, I think you're in it. So other than Wendy, none of you are in it. It's an invite-only thing, but Amazon changed the rules about reviewing. However, they put right out there in their community guidelines that books were different, that there was a long-standing tradition of advanced readers copies and review copies in the book world that they didn't want to mess with. And so you are still allowed to send free review copies to reviewers in exchange for an honest review. I hope that answers your question, Stephanie. Anyone can review your book as long as they've purchased $50 or more worth of stuff on Amazon. But I'm here to tell you, if they're your friend, your relative, if you guys are buds on Facebook and Twitter, there's a really good chance the review won't actually get posted, or it'll get posted and then taken down. Amazon, and there's a whole bunch of people out there right now arguing about this, Amazon has stated categorically, categorically, I don't know. Amazon has stated quite firmly that they do not track social media. That is absolute bull hockey. They do, because too many of us have seen reviews pulled down by the people we're connected with on social media. Amazon may not be tracking it, but one of their computer bots is. If you know people online, and if you're connected with people, there's a really good chance that that review will not have a long lifespan on Amazon. Don, it's nice to meet you. Do I know anything about TCK Publishing? I don't, but I'd be happy to look them up and get back to you on it. I'm afraid I'm not familiar with them. If they offer no upfront fees and 50% of the profits with a 5-year contract, that seems pretty good, but I have no idea about their quality or their contract. You're trying to find out if they do marketing or what you'll be expected to pay. I do not know TCK at all. I will tell you that a lot of companies which offer to sell and market your book actually just make your book available online, and it's your job to sell and market. But Don, I want you to I'm looking you right in the camera. Even if HarperCollins or Random House published your book, those guys would expect you to do the marketing. The days of the author being ushered in a limo and being taken care of and flown around the country and all their book marketing taken care of for them, I would like to tell you those days are over, but it's even worse than that. They never existed. That never happened. I mean, yes, 5 or 6% of the authors maybe, but for the most part, new authors, no matter whom you were published by, you were responsible for the marketing. So start budgeting for that. But TCK may be wonderful. I don't know. Feel free to email me a link to them. Amy@newshelves.com is my email. Guys, amy@newshelves.com. And if you have other questions for next week, because we're coming up to the top of the hour, I would love to hear your questions. Don, I would be happy to research them a little bit for you, but I don't know anything about them. I'm sorry. Is Karen Seidler, no last names, sorry Karen. is asking, is KDP Select beneficial for children's picture books? Karen, children's picture books are not a great fit for ebooks at all. They're just not. They're one of the few types of books that don't do well on ebooks. But if you're going to do a children's picture book and put it in as an ebook, I strongly recommend, and Karen, you don't know me, but Rebecca and some other people who do know me, they'll back me up on this. If I don't know something, I admit it. And I'm telling you, I know this. If you're going to do a children's picture book as an ebook, don't go KDP Select. You want it in the libraries. You want it in Overdrive. You want it on Kobo, because you want it everywhere you can. That's my advice to you about KDP picture books. But don't expect a lot of sales from ebooks, I'm afraid. Randy has a follow-up question about discount amount for libraries. Ingram Spark suggested a 55% discount. Okay, Randy, good question. You did not make a mistake. That discount is not for libraries. Let me explain how this works. And for those of you who are curious, I am going to put a link to, I've got a blog on this topic, and it's called POD Math. POD Math. And if you go to newshelves.com/blog, I actually mark the math out for you that talks about this Ingram 55%. But I'm going to verbally go through it now. Ingram Spark, a print-on-demand company owned by the Ingram family in Laverne, Tennessee, will print your book for a fee. Let's say they'll charge you $7 to print your book. And they will sell that book to Ingram Wholesaler. Ingram Wholesaler is a separate company, also owned by the Ingram family in Laverne, Tennessee, who got their naming skills from KDP. It's very annoying. But the Ingram Wholesale Company will buy your book from Ingram Spark at a 55% discount off the retail price of the book. So if your book is, let's say, $10, because I really don't want to do math in public, they will buy your book for $4.50 from Ingram Spark. And they will turn around and they will sell that $10 retail price book that they paid $4.50 for. They will sell it to bookstores at a 40% discount, which means the bookstores pay $6. So the bookstores paid $6. They sell the book for $10 or $8 because a lot of them discount. And Ingram Wholesaler keeps the $1.50 difference between what they bought and what they sold it for. And with that $1.50, they pay to keep the lights on. They pay their employees. They pay for the trucking and the gas. They pay for a lot. That $1.50 has to cover a lot. And Ingram Spark will then take the, let's say, $2.50 or the $3 it costs to print to book out of the $4.50, and they'll send you the $1 profit that's left. That's how it works. You did not make a bad decision, because if you make your book available to Ingram Spark for less than a 55% discount, they will not be able to offer bookstores the 40% discount that they need to order your book. And if bookstores are important to you, you have to give Ingram Spark the 55. Now you're saying right now libraries only get 20%. Well, that's true, but Ingram Spark doesn't just sell your book to Ingram Wholesaler. It also sells it at a deep discount, 50% or so, to Baker and Taylor. Brodart. There are other wholesalers that service the library market that will buy books from them at a 50% discount. So Ingram Spark needs the 55 that you've set so that they can negotiate with these other wholesalers, and those guys will turn around and send your book to libraries for 20 or 30%. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, go to my blog, newshelves.com/blog, and I promise there's a blog there. There's a search engine bar at the top, and if you just put POD in there, you'll find the blog right away. All right. Terry is asking, and then guys, I'm going to have to close out the questions. We've got a couple more questions real quick, but I've got to go at the top of the hour. Terry is asking, can you verify that for every copy of your ebook or paperback that you place on Amazon, each will require a separate ISBN number? Oh, this is a good question. I don't mean to sound surprised, Terry. I've seen you before, I know, but not every copy, but here's the deal. Every version of your book, your paperback needs one ISBN. Doesn't matter who prints it. Ingram Spark, CreateSpace, I don't care who prints it. One ISBN for your paperback. One ISBN for your audiobook, no matter who distributes it. One ISBN for your hardcover. But the rules have changed for ebooks. It used to be that there was one ISBN for your ebook. That is no longer true. Now you need two. You need one ISBN for the Kindle, which is also called a Mobi file, and a different one for the EPUB. It used to be you could use the same ISBN, but the naming and the ISBN, the actual international organization that handles, that's what ISBN stands for, guys, International Standard Book Number. They are now recommending that you put a different ISBN, one for the Mobi and one for the EPUB. And it makes sense because as things are shaking out, eventually sales are going to be tracked by ISBN. And if you don't have two separate ISBNs on your ebook files, you'll never know who sold what. All right. Don is saying he just finished a book of 39,000 words. It contains 3 sections on buying business. Do you recommend breaking this book into 3 separate books? Don, I'm so sorry to say this to you, that you don't even have one book yet. 39,000 words is not a book. It's a pamphlet. It's a booklet. You need 60 or 70,000 words minimum to have a book on business. So no, I don't recommend. Now, do you want to break it into 3 different white papers and sell those white papers online? That's great, but a book at 39,000 words, unless your book is almost all illustrations, in which case I take it back and I'm so sorry, but if this is a text-heavy book, that's not enough words to actually be a real book. Randy's asking if you raise the price to compensate. No, Randy, if you're print on demand, you price your book to be comparable and to be competitive with what all the other publishers are. If all the best-selling books in your genre are $16, your book needs to be $16. That's how you price a book. I also have an article about that on my blog as well. All right. Anonymous is saying that someone high up in Ingram Spark said you could put in a 53% discount and it could still get into bookstores. I love that idea. Now, I don't know that, but here's the thing. I'm going to change a couple of my books that I have control over that won't affect anyone else. I'm going to change the discount to 53%. And I'm going to, and it takes Amazon almost a month to get those discounts through. I'm going to change 2 of my books to 53%. And by early August, I'll be able to tell you whether or not bookstores can still get a 40% discount because I own an online bookstore and I can see both sides of Ingram. So Anonymous, I don't know who you are, but I commend you for that intel. I don't know if it's true, guys, but I will get back to you in a month and I'll let you know. All right, guys, you have been amazing, absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for giving me this hour. I realize I talk fast, but there's so many questions. I believe I got through all your questions. If I didn't, please email me and yell at me, and I will answer you one-on-one. But if you guys want to come back this time next week, you're all signed up already, please email me your questions or put them into the open Q&A, and I will see you back here on Friday at noon next week. Thanks, guys. Thanks so much.